back to my channel. Luke is here, Connect will be here soon, and our guest today on Blue Friday show, Kelkster, who isn't usually here. She doesn't have a channel, but she does go on Patrick's channel a lot, so Slow City fan. So go check that out, and go check, of course, the channels out of Connect, who will be here in a bit, and of Luke. Big up to Wim in chat, always here. Big up to Adam as well. And yes, thank you, Dasil, for putting the links in as always. And do be subscribing to me as well, by the way, because I'm very close to 1K likes now. And Connect just
comes a drunk stream. Another drunk stream. No.
You don't drink on weekdays, I thought.
I have weekends off. I have some weekends off. My schedule just changes a lot. Coordinating the drunk stream on Patrick's channel is going to be very difficult. I'll just say that.
Yeah, you need to figure out a day you've got off where you can get smashed.
Exactly.
By the way, just minor disclaimer. If you drink, do so responsibly. Don't do what she does.
I take all my days off and then I don't drive. There's nothing irresponsible about that.
Moving on. The first subject, this wasn't actually planned to be the first subject, but Kelkster wanted to talk about it. Akanji's comments. And, well, this is your birthday, isn't it? And you're the guest, so I guess go off. Why is Akanji the worst centre back we have had last season?
Wow, I've said my piece on that in other channels, but I just don't think he's good enough to start for our team, and that Pep will shove him into the team every chance he gets, based on last season. Because notice how he got shoved into the team for the FA Cup final when he wasn't fit, and he gave up the goal. So I would like him to leave for that reason. I also have an agenda where I want Yashko to be a center back, and I feel like Akanji's in his way. Because lo and behold, when Akanji came back, Yashko had to go back to playing left back. So anyways, enough of that. His comments today, though, I actually agreed with him. He says that these players need a rest and a break, and I think he's right. I'm used to American sports where most of the teams in the leagues, they get anywhere from 3 to 5 months completely off. Like their off season is very long. So these players actually get a real rest. So when they come back, they're actually refreshed and ready to go. And footballers these days get maybe a couple of weeks. Because every summer there's a major tournament, there's a World Cup, there's a Euros or Copa America. Then they decided to make up the Nations League for no reason. Well, we know why, it's money. And now there's a Club World Cup, which has now become an every 4-year tournament. So these players are human beings. They need rest.
Yeah, I'm also not watching. Yeah, go on.
Oh, God. Go on.
Okay, I'll go first then. So the Club World Cup, I'm not watching it. I've said why I'm not watching it. I think it's a disgrace that this competition even exists. So I actually understand Akanji's comments. Now, I do want Akanji to leave. I understand why some people are like pissed off at it, but I'm like, if you're the professional athlete, your body is broken down. Like, after you play a full season, you're feeling it in every muscle, tendon, bone of your body. And now they're like, okay, here's an extra competition. Just because you're paid a lot of money doesn't mean you can be abused for more money. That's not how it works. There are laws against that actually, but it's very difficult to apply them to football because one, they do it of their own volition playing, and of course they get paid a lot of money. But the fact is, when you abuse players like this, you don't notice it in the short term. What I mean by that is, you abuse a player like this for 2-3 years. You're not going to notice anything. But it's the 4th year and the 5th year where they get injury after injury after injury. And they're going Yamal will be washed by the time he's 25. Saka as well.
All these guys.
Saka is already fucked. Look at the amount of injuries Saka is picking up recently. He's going to be fucked soon. I give him 2 more years
hamstring surgery. That's major. At 21, like that's bad. That's gonna haunt him the rest of his career. And he's 21.
I said I'll give him.
He's a great player. I want to watch him play, but like he's not going to be able to function. Look at Yamal. Enjoy Yamal while you can. You're not going to get a lot of him.
Well, also the Ethan Nwaneri as well is also a very, very, very good player, and Arteta's spamming him out again. Spamming him out like he's 17. He shouldn't play every game. Like Yamal shouldn't play every game. should be another one there ahead of him. He should be behind them. But for some,
Gavi and Pedri.
Yeah.
It's too much football.
Gavi was never that good, to be fair, but the amount of minutes he's playing, he's never going to be able to develop into a great player, because I think there's something there. I don't think he's nearly Pedri's level, but when you play him the amount of minutes he plays at the start of his career, he's never going to develop into what he could be. And I think that's a shame, because I don't think he's reached that high of a level yet. I think if you develop him properly, he might reach that type of level. But that's not what we do anymore. And people say it. People say this a lot. That quality of footballer doesn't exist anymore. They say that a lot when they talk about Zidane, when they talk about Ronaldinho, when they talk about even De Bruyne and Messi and Ronaldo, the more recent ones. The reason why that quality of footballer doesn't exist anymore is because they're not given the time to develop as footballers. They're thrown onto the pitch and they're just fighting every game for minutes with adults. They're not adults. 17, 18, 19, that's not an adult. Legally, you're an adult, but physically, you don't stop growing until you're 21. So already physically, you're not adult until 21. Then there's the brain aspect that doesn't mature until you're 25. So you're playing these teenagers to this degree, and you're surprised that there's a lack of quality footballers of the older quality coming through. Take Zidane, for example. He was not the player he became until his late 20s. You need to give these players time to develop.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it just watching like I think a key example of someone that did get developed quite well. I know he had a poor season. Is Phil Foden? I think back in the 17-18 season, he only really cameoed. Showed some naivety. There was obviously talent there, but we nurtured him, and he only really started playing a lot more games in I say in the COVID season when the stands were empty. I think that's when he really started playing a lot more games, and then I think after that season he's been a real a player that we consider someone to potentially start. And now we can see him complete full seasons. Now he does pick up injuries, every player will, but it's not to the volume that some players will just ultimately get ruined. Like Pedri got mentioned. I remember how many games did he play in a row, and he played an absolute ton, and then he got just injury after injury, and was just ruined. And in Barca, I think is like a prime example of it. Pedri and Gavi got mentioned, but even Alejandro Balde as well, the left back, and even Kubasi are prime examples of players that are, and of course Yamal, who are just not long coming through and are just getting played an absolute ton. Like Kubasi's played so many games for Barca this season, and they're obviously good players, but it's just there needs to be someone there that knows how to really nurture young talent. I feel, and even it's not even just Phil in our team. I know Rico has played a lot of games for us, but it's not like he started week in, week out. He's gone on good spells of starting games, but you see at United too, like Mainu, how he's essentially a starter now, and hasn't really been given time to develop. Saka as well, got mentioned, Nwaneri. And it'll probably happen to Lewis Skelly as well, the rate it's going. So, yeah, just players not getting taken care of, and it's what will lead to more probably earlier retirements of the earlier 30s, I feel.
Think about Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
He's
I
only
think
30.
the only way this changes is a player's protest, and a seriously protest. Literally disrupt the competitions, rattle the FIFA, UEFA, rattle them. That's the only way you're ever going to get them to listen, because money's all they care about. So it's
well, the thing is, though, is they're banking on this in America to be like some major tournament, but they've overpriced the tickets so high that they're not going to have a lot of people in the stands.
And they got
this happens a lot with USA. So when the national team plays, they overprice the tickets, and a lot of times the stadium's just empty because people just can't afford it. So I don't.
Yeah.
But football, soccer, I guess you Americans call it, it's not that popular in America compared to baseball, NFL, and basketball.
NBA, yeah.
It's not as
You'd
popular.
be surprised. It is growing here quite a bit. Our local league, the MLS, is pretty decent. There's also a lot of people who are like, we have a lot of immigrants in the country.
Yeah.
And they all come from countries that follow football. So there's actually quite a bit of fans who follow the sport. But they're not watching MLS. They're watching like La Liga MX, which is the Mexican league, or they're watching like La Liga or the Premier League and stuff like that. So there's actually quite a lot of fans here. But I would say MLS is not that good.
Immigrants in the United States are always going to be from football-watching countries, isn't it?
Yeah.
The rest of the world watches it. But no, I get what you mean.
Bro, do you know what's funny about this? Is it travel ban he put in, right? You got Josef Martinez, a lot of players from Venezuela and Haiti and all that playing in America. So now it's like, what? They've got to leave clubs now, have they? This is how.
No, there's different. I don't follow it, but I'm sure they'll figure a solution out.
It's funny though. It's funny. Like, come on, man. Like, seriously, think.
It's an entire mess, bro. That entire World Cup is a mess. Here's my thing, yeah. Other than money, forget money for now, because that is the obvious answer. But why host a big tournaments like a World Cup in a country like America that doesn't care about football? Why not host it in Mexico, in Brazil, in Africa somewhere? Because there's a lot of African-loving, football-loving countries.
They just did.
Why not in Europe?
2010 was in South Africa.
I
don't think South Africa has the infrastructure.
Oh my god, 2010 is 15 years ago.
England as well. I know it's.
Well, they rotate by continent. Also, they're doing it in America, but some games will be in Canada and some games will be in Mexico. They're doing it because they can charge ridiculous amount for ticket prices here. And for a World Cup, people will pay it. For a Club World Cup, no. But for the actual World Cup, I'm already preparing to spend a ridiculous amount of money. My plan during the group stage is to literally hop across the country and go to different games. I'm going to be spending a lot of money.
Isn't the World Cup after that? And is it Morocco, Spain, and Portugal? Isn't it? Some of that. The next one after that.
Yeah, that's in 2030.
That's so dumb as well. Host it in like one country or like.
And you got, is it Uruguay as well? The first game because of the 1930 anniversary thing, 100-year anniversary.
I think Argentina is also going to be a part of that, and maybe Brazil, not Brazil. Uruguay, Argentina, maybe Paraguay? I don't know.
And then in 34, Saudi Arabia. Of course, European 34.
Hooray, human rights! After Qatar, hooray, human rights!
God.
Human rights are overrated. Like, what's more important? Money.
Actually, America, hooray, human rights! We never get called out for it, but we are just as bad as some of these other places.
It's PR.
I'm gonna say
USA PR. USA PR.
You know what the problem is here with the entire FIFA thing? The World Cup used to be hosted in countries that loved football. Take the first World Cup, that was hosted in a football-loving country. Take, which by the way, if you didn't notice, the first 5 World Cups were all won by the home nation. Or was it first 4? Something like that.
So.
Goal facts there. But yeah, the World Cup used to be hosted in big footballing nations. Now it's like Qatar. Most people didn't even know Qatar existed, let's be honest. Unless you cared about geography a bit.
Qatar, yeah.
And now it's hosted in America.
You saw the first Transformers movie.
Yeah.
That's not the point.
We hosted it in '94, and it actually was really successful.
No, but
I mean, all the stadiums were packed.
But
And
you
it actually, that's what
it's in '94 when Pelé was your ambassador. Pelé was your ambassador because they wanted to make football more popular in the United States. But that entire thing flopped.
Money.
The World Cup was good.
Money.
The World Cup was good. But the entire football rejuvenation.
Follow the money.
Whoa. Hang on.
Like Qatar and Saudi, follow the money.
Wait, France have more World Cups than the UK have, and England's much more of a football-loving country.
England is.
Y'all need to be lobbying more.
The rules of football were literally first published in England.
Bro, where's our World Cup?
We want to sing football's coming home.
No, I don't. I hate. No.
At the same time, though, Lou, do you want to see France or Germany win a World Cup in Wembley?
Yes. Hold that, England. I'm at FA. Hold that.
I got to watch Italy win the Euros.
Yeah, I did. And Joe, I laughed.
But the Euros was Italy.
It's 2021, yeah. Because of frauds.
And Donnarumma, that's where the legend of Donnarumma began.
Bro,
He was like a
if our first goal, if you go to the throat in that first half, you win 2 or 3-0 in the first half and you win the game.
Yeah, I remember watching it.
I was like,
The entire world to choice, though.
Well, the thing is, right, if I won that, I'm not being ashamed. I'm just going to celebrate a trophy. I'm not after being ashamed. Celebrate a trophy, man. That's all I want to do. That's all I want.
Fair enough. Anyhow, on another topic, Ange Postecoglou finally got sacked. That was all. They waited way too long to sack him. You know what I think they did? They tried to get new players in. New players said, I don't want to play for Ange. And then they were like, okay, let's sack Ange. I think that's what happened.
Right. I'm not around about this because people are like, oh, what they sacked him for? He's won them a trophy. Ugh. And they're 17th in the league, mate. Oh, but what in the Champions League? His style of play stinks. It's one way or the highway. And as a result, they lose games 4 or 5-1 most of the time. Yeah, they beat us 4-0. Shit last year. Come on, he's been terrible. Like, I'm sorry. Well done for winning the Europa League against a shit United team. But you're also shit yourself. So, I'm sorry. For Spurs, it's actually good for Spurs. It's good. Have a chance to start again.
So, what do you think about Rangers, by the way? We've all set out parts about Rangers. I think we all rate him, so. We all rate him. Big up to those as well. Youth team of the Netherlands won 2-0. Not sure against who. Managers do it, playing young players, I think she means. Because they don't want to take responsibility of their poor tactics. You know that not only poor tactics, but poor signings. Because managers will make poor signings, and then they'll be like, yeah, we're kind of looking fucked. Let's go on a 17-year-old, play him until his body crumbles, and call it mission accomplished. That's what managers do, isn't it? Players won't protest, they are too naive. On that shit.
Not sure.
Do you think that players sometimes lack the long-term vision to realize that they are destroying themselves? Because I do sometimes think that these players, they just want to play, and they lack the long-term vision of, I'm shortening my career.
Yeah. I think some players definitely seem that way, and I think when you see older players, you know, I know Rodri speaks out on it quite a bit on fixture schedules. I think it's more the older players that speak out on it because, like I say, young players, they just want to play. You know, they finally made it to the big stage, every kid's dream, and you know they're there, especially if you're playing for a bigger club. You know, all you want to do is keep playing at that point. So yeah, I think you're right. You know, they're just thinking about the next game and how many more games they can play, how many goals they can get, and because again, it's what every kid dreams of.
The irony of Rodri speaking out is literally the next game he played, he tore his ACL.
Yeah, it's like
I was like, bro,
it's
like harbinger of doom. It's like,
do you know what it is? Bro, do you know what it is though, right? I mean, you're going to say, oh, but they're getting all this money though. Yeah, so they're going to get that money now. But I tell you, mate, long term of their bodies, head as well, over time, it actually makes them worse. Like the amount of is it head injuries, that kind of stuff? Is it from head in the ball constantly? At least like a dementia and that kind of stuff. And you got arthritis, the legs over time, and all the body because of the amount of injuries they've had. The amount of games playing is much. There's no time to actually recover from injuries. It's why Akanji played so much last year.
Even when they have time to recover, though, they'd rush back in.
Yeah.
It's not fair at all. I feel sorry for our players that get injured. I feel sorry for them.
Also, I have to say this. People are saying, well, oh, they make a lot of money. First off, they don't, because American athletes make a ridiculous amount more money first. What's De Bruyne on? Like 20 million a year or something? Holland's at what, 25, 30 million a year? That is peanuts compared to the United States. Like quarterbacks are making 60 to 80 million a year. So, and they only play 18 games a year. So
Yeah, but that's a
F1
bit more physical, that game, to be fair. But America has just a better economy.
But still, okay,
Yeah.
all the money in the world is not going to pay for, is not going to cure muscle fatigue. It's not going to cure mental fatigue. It's not going to heal a bone faster. Like, money is, like, just paying them more is not going to make it better. Like, they need to rest. That is the only thing that fixes those things is rest. And they're not getting it.
I agree. By the way, big up to Liam, the Bayern view for the raid. Big up.
115 raid. That's what.
115. Best cheated. We get away with it. You don't. That's the difference.
Hey.
Bonsoir. Big up to Steve. Big up to Steve. Big up to Liam. 115. Yes. Liam. 5 seconds ago, when I was on your stream, you were saying, "I wish I had a board like you." So I don't know. What can I say? He said it yesterday. Was it on Zade's channel? Yeah, it was. He said, "I wish I had a board like Man City." I hate letting that one go. Big up, Liam. Big up. Yeah, and big up to Steve as well. Thank you for the redirect. So with that, let's go on to my first actual planned subject, which is, are we closing the gap, as Arsenal fans would say, on Liverpool? Because I think we've just had a very good transfer window. We probably won't sign anyone else in this window itself. We obviously have another window coming up. But like Aït-Nouri, I think it's probably the biggest signing. That's what we needed the most, of a fullback, to stop Guardiola from being pushed into that left back spot. We got an incredible attacking midfielder who's now apparently the second Zidane, because one game. But okay, I do rate him, but suddenly all the hype is a bit weird. And we've got a very good midfielder who adds energy to that midfield. So, with that asked, and let's Kelkster go first, because ladies first, respect, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think we're closing the gap on Liverpool here, considering what they're signing as well?
Oh, for sure. I think all three of these signings, you know, once they're official, are addressing huge needs that we have. We have needed an 8 since Gundogan left after the treble season. We're getting Reinders. He's like a mini Gundogan. So it'll take him a little time to adjust, but I think he's going to be a great player for us. Aït-Nouri, we haven't had a left back in how long? 5-6 years? It's been a while, so that's good. Moving Yashko into a center back is going to improve our defense tremendously. I think Diaz will feed off of that, and he'll have a much better season. And then Ryan Cherky, man, that guy looks amazing. But the biggest thing of all is we're getting a player back that is going to make a bigger impact than any signing any team makes. Rodri coming back to our team specifically absolutely dwarfs Florian Wirtz going to Liverpool. That will make the biggest impact on any team in the entire league. He is the heart and soul of our team. He makes that midfield tick and purr and function. He helps the defense. Like, Rodri is the best player in the world for a reason. So just getting him back is going to, that's 8 to 10 points minimum.
Yeah,
and then you add all these other players.
No,
I think we're closing the gap.
No, I get you. It's that Rodri coming back, but on the other side of the coin, you don't know how good he's going to be. He's just coming back from an ACL. You don't want him to start picking up muscle injuries, because once you pick up one injury, it's just a cycle that never ends. So you want to get this guy back very carefully. I don't think he'll start regularly. I think he'll start a few times, but I don't think he'll start regularly until January, if they're taking really good care of him. Because otherwise, he could start picking up injuries again, you know? He'll be mostly coming off the bench, I believe. So do you still think that that's that big of an impact then?
I think he'll be a 1 game a week player. So he won't play in any cup games. I think they'll focus it on the Premier League. And obviously it'll be an issue of player management, which, to be fair, Pep really struggled with last season. But I'm hoping that Nico Gonzalez can feed off of him because I hope they play together and that Nico can pick up tips from him in training and stuff. And so that when Rodri does sit out, Nico can fill in the gap. Because I thought he did a pretty damn good job of it this season until Pep inexplicably dropped him for no reason and decided to go with 30-plus-year-old legs for no reason whatsoever. So if you can just actually trust Nico G to play, that will allow Rodri to rest more. And I do agree with you. I don't think he'll be at his best form until end of December, January-ish.
Yeah, but the reason, in my opinion, why Nico G didn't play is because Pep didn't trust him, or because he trusted his old guard too much. One or the other, same difference really. Which is why these old players need to leave. And people have been saying, by the way, I saw someone say this on Twitter, why aren't we selling these players already? Because the other clubs don't have a transfer window yet. That's just for us. The first 10 days is for us. The actual transfer window in July is what most clubs are banking on. They also don't play in Club World Cup. For example, John Stones, should he go to Everton? Which I think looks possible. I'm not going to say how likely it is. So let's say that happens. Everton is not in a rush to get that over the line in June. They're going to take their time. They're going to talk about it. They're going to discuss in their board. They're going to see how he plays for England. And then they'll decide, okay, let's bring him over or not. So outgoings is very important for me. But just the players we have signed, I think Cherky is the best player we could have signed. That was not Wirtz himself. But because the budget is so much lower here, if you actually calculate how much we've spent, we've got £29 million spent, assuming all the Rangers add-ons are paid as well. That is not a lot. You have a budget of potentially £200 million more, because people are talking about 300 million at the start of the summer. You've got potentially another £200 million spent with the players we've already gotten in. So I do think we're closing the gap on Liverpool, but the big question, I suppose, is, do you think we've overtaken them?
No.
We need to see next season, really. It's just to say these are good signings that we've made, but to be fair to Liverpool, I think the signings they're making aren't bad too. These signings could very well elevate them as well. So we're really going to have to see how we do next season as a team before we can compare ourselves to the teams that were better than us last season, like Liverpool. We need to focus on our own improvement and integrating our new signings, and integrating certain players that didn't play a lot, like Rodri, who barely played a minute due to his injury, and other players too, like even player like Ake, who didn't feature much. He featured, I think, in overall 20 games. Foden as well. Foden hopefully hitting his heights, and other players. We had a lot of injured players for long periods this season. The season just gone, and so reintegrating some of them will be important as well to the team. So yeah, we're gonna have to really wait and see, really, when it comes to being whether we're better or not, whether we've overtaken them. But what I will say is that the signings we are making are definitely a step in the right direction.
You know what I would say, to that overtaking Liverpool, before I let Luke talk? I would say that just because we've got some signings in doesn't mean we have chemistry with these players. If you look at the core from Liverpool, their core is better than ours if you ignore the new signings, just blatantly. And they have chemistry with each other already. These new signings, even if we have a better player per player 11, we don't have a better team because they're not used to playing with each other. Some of them have never played in the Premier League, and it does matter. A new style of football, it does take time to adjust to. So I think the chemistry problem, for me, even if we had better players, is still going to make Liverpool better than us. Even if we went on to sign Livramento and we went on to sign another goalkeeper or something. So that's why I think that overtaking Livramento, overtaking Liverpool is almost an impossible task this summer. Because as you said, Connect, they are making really good signings to add to that really good core. Anyhow, I'll let Luke talk now.
Yeah, for me personally, right, I'm not thinking about any kind of trophy or trophy. I need to see the style of play improve. I need to see a lot more improvement on the squad. I need to see a much more stronger mentality in big games. I'm going to be more spend games. I've got to see a lot more before I think, you know what, title's on. I need to see a lot more because last season we regressed from a team is for a title to a top four battling team who lost all the mentality. Everyone read us like a book, went against us all the time. That fear factor has to come back in this team because it's been lost now for the past year and a half. And it was just about winning the league, get FA Cup back from, because it's been like 2 years of FA Cup, and I lost 2 finals in a row, League Cup as well, and it needs to be about getting the mentality back in the club, the squad, the manager, and the fan base as well. Because I tell you, right, if you're any right now, really, do you feel like you're confident now to go in that division? A lot of people would say not sure. Because although we've got players coming in, well and good, but players have to go as well. I can't be seeing players that last year fell off a cliff massively. Some players I'll keep around. Like Kovacic for one more year. I don't mind, I know he's injured, but I don't mind one more year out of him. Some players I don't mind one more year out of them. But some just have to go. Because honestly, we need better quality and I'd rather give younger players like Echeverria a chance next season, more game time, than play the same older. And you're right, it doesn't mean I hate anyone, right? Anyone who's been in this team last season, right, has won stuff with us, apart from like, is it Savinho? Is he won something?
Savinho, yes.
Yeah. But from that, like Savio, obviously, it's not his fault at all. He actually did pretty well considering what he was in last season. But most of our squad have won something. I appreciate what they've done for us, but we've got to think, right, after past is a brilliant past. But if you want to get back in the future and get back to win trophies again, you've got to realise what needs to be done and move players on aren't good enough anymore. So for me, I'm happy with what I'm seeing right now. It's all about how we end the season, end the window before start the season. That's why I'm. Anyway.
You said earlier as well about Echeverri. Do you think he's going to get loaned out? Because I think Jet coming in, there's a chance he gets loaned out. I don't want him to get loaned out, but I think he might.
I'm worried, bro. I'm worried.
Either him or Oscar Bob. One of those is not gonna be loaned out, probably.
Or I've got a better idea. You loan out with Bernardo Silva. On his last year.
Sell him.
If you can. Talking about selling, I was on a show recently on Zeer's channel, who's, by the way, also very close to 1,000. Go check him out. But I was on his channel with a Chelsea fan, and he told me, listen, we've got so many players and we always manage to sell them. You'll find a buyer. And I was like, maybe he's got a point, because you look at Chelsea, they don't even have that good of a board, but they manage to sell their players. But of course, it's a different scenario though, because they don't have players on the same wages and of the same age as we do. But I still think that's like a little bit of truth to that. You will find buyers. And now the question is, will your players leave? Maybe you can pressure them to leave. The manager needs to do that, so not the board, because if the board says you won't play if you don't leave, and the manager then plays these players anyhow, there's nothing to that. Pep Guardiola needs to go to these players and say, listen, you need to leave. If he does that, I think that we can probably sell most of them, if not all of them. Calvin Phillips we can't sell, let's be honest. Carl Walker.
Worst contract of all time.
There's maybe still a club that can sell Carl Walker too, but most likely he's going on loan. But Bernardo Silva, you can sell him for maybe very cheap. But John Stones, Jack Grealish, these are the players who can still pick up a decent fee, at least, I believe. Same with Akanji, so I don't... And if you look, by the way, at Viana's first season, he had like, at Sporting, he had like 20 players out in his first window. So he has been able to do it in the past. By the way, a question from Manu Bayern. What if Rodrigo moves to Arsenal? And Steve Black actually answers the question perfectly. Rodrigo ain't going to Arsenal. Why would you go to it? But why would you go to it?
I don't think he would. I think the problem, to answer your other question, I think the problem we have is the players we need to move on, the manager is attached to them, and he doesn't want them to go. So I think this is where we're seeing that Hugo Viana and Pep Guardiola philosophy kind of clash in a sense, because like Pep doesn't want to get rid of Bernardo, Pep doesn't want to get rid of Gundogan, he doesn't want to get rid of Walker or Kanji or any of these guys. These are his guys who he trusts. But the problem is they're not good enough anymore. And if Bernardo Silva starts every game again next season, we're not going to succeed. He's a big reason why we're god awful last season, and I don't think he's going to get better. Got into a debate about this yesterday, saying like, I was on a panel with somebody who said that let's give Bernardo another chance with a better team, and I'm like, no, I didn't say it, but I should have. But it's like, no, he is the reason why we were so poor last season and why the style was so bad. Every time we had the opportunity to transition, stop the game, he just would stop or pass backwards. We can't have that. Holland cannot pass backwards ball. None of our forwards can. We need players who are going to push the ball forward. Bernardo won't do that. Like, I think he's number one has to leave, or I don't think we're going to contend next season.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll but like I don't think we'll get over the top. We need younger legs in there. He's not good enough anymore because, like we've said earlier, he has just played too many minutes for too long. There's no gas left in the tank.
Yeah. Honestly, though, Kelkster, the thing, I love Bernardo Silva. Always will do. I don't care about last season. I don't care. Like, for me, he's been a brilliant player for us. And I love him for what he's done for us. Treble season, unbelievable. It's Bayern, Real Madrid. Great in Europe, great for the league. But the guy has given it for this club. He has. But he needs to go off to Benfica and just get a chilled season. Just relax. Like, you've done a bit. You've won all your stuff. Fantastic. But we need players that are new, ready to go again, refreshed. And a new start. Again, the players that are going to go out, we all respect, apart from maybe Kyle Walker. Well, Kyle Walker, I respect for what he's done at the club. Recently, it changed it a little bit, but what I remember of Kyle Walker when he was really, really good, respect him for that. But some players just have stayed too long, and we've got to get back to if having a rebuild of everything, not just a few players. It's the whole squad needs all the same. That's how it needs to go.
Someone had written a tweet saying that if we had actually won the league again this season, they think that we would have extended contracts. I think it was deleted, but I forget who wrote it because I went to look for it and I couldn't find it. But they said that they thought we would have extended Bernardo's contract and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, we would have fallen off even harder. So yeah, the sentimentality, man, is too much. We used to be ruthless and get rid of players at the correct time, and we've kind of gone away from that. And I think we're just stuck in a kind of a rut because of that. Someone like a Kenji you can actually get money for, so I would sell him.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's the biggest
problem is Pep wants to keep Nunes, and I'm like, where's he gonna play? Because he's clearly not a midfielder. Are we just keeping him for a backup right back? Like,
it won't be too bad, to be fair. But you know what I think is the biggest showing of us falling off that mentality-wise, like not being ruthless anymore? It's bringing Gundogan back.
It was Kyle Walker. It was keeping Kyle Walker after the treble season when he wanted to go.
That video, I'm staying. No.
That started
Kelkster, let's be honest. During or after the treble season, when Kyle Walker did that "I'm staying" thing, every Man City fan was celebrating. We did not know that he was going to fall off like that. Let's be honest.
No, we did. He got benched in the Champions League final for a reason. And he got benched at the end of that whole season for a reason.
Yeah,
he only played against Vinny.
Hold on.
No, but what was the reason why we were keeping him? Everyone was saying, oh, he's out back at right back now. He's saying he's out back at right back. He's going to be really good. He's going to be the best backup. He's a specialist against fast swingers. That's what people were saying. And in the 4th season, by the way, it was semi-true. He was bad in that season.
He wasn't a backup.
Yeah, but he was still semi-good. He wasn't the worst, but he wasn't as bad as he was now.
He was bad that season, and everyone forgets Bernardo was bad that season too, and he fell off the cliff this season.
No, absolutely, I agree with that. Pep is just
obsessed with keeping his experienced players. I'm like, you have other experienced players on your team. Like, the world is not going to end if Bernardo Silva leaves. We're still going to have experienced players on this team. I don't know why everybody's just holding on to that as a crutch.
Yeah, I agree. But what I'm saying here is people wanted Kyle Walker to stay as a backup right back. That's what happened. He was not as bad as he was this season yet in the 4th beat. He wasn't good. But then people would have thought, okay, now he's going to leave in the summer of 24. But he didn't leave. And we just kept holding on to what we had. And this summer, 2024, is when we really had the big stuff of like not wanting to let go. Because in 2023, we let go of Gundogan. We said only 1 year or you're not getting an extension. That was, I think, a very good decision. I said it at the time. I didn't have YouTube yet, so I can't prove that. But I did say it at the time. You'll have to take my word on that. But in 2024, when Gundogan signed back, I made a video. I said it's a bad decision. And I feel like that's when our mentality went. So Kyle Walker, I get Kyle Walker should have left, I agree. But I don't think that Kyle Walker showed as bad a mentality as Gundogan. How it evolved him just in 1 year from making your treble captain leave to taking him back when he's more washed and using it as an excuse not to sign a midfielder, because that's what it was. It was an excuse not to sign a midfielder.
Yeah, it was like
and we haven't signed a good midfielder since Rodri. Like, there's been a couple of duds in there. I literally don't. I don't know how the club just neglected that last season.
Calvin Phillips cost us the same amount of Rangers.
Nunes. It's like Nunes and Phillips are the only ones. Rodri was crying, literally crying, saying, "I need to rest. I need to rotate." I literally think their plan was to run him into the ground again this season. And the only thing that saved him was getting injured. And that stems back to our previous topic. There should, massive injuries should not be a way to rest a player. Like, they should just have a normal summer off. I get that, but that's what it's come down to. The only time they could rest is if they get massively injured. And that's just really bad for the sport.
Yeah. Right, just quickly, right. Is there anything going on in 2027? Any tournament? Anything going on? Right?
The Euros.
No,
Is it the Euros?
Euros is 2028.
Oh.
Well, it's true for Nations League again. Yeah, Nations League again.
Again. Get to the fucking rest. Rest, for fuck's sake.
No, they must play. They must make us millions. Anyhow, from Liam. From Liam here, I'm Infantino in disguise, of course. Terrible news what happened to typical City. I'm not sure what happened today.
What happened?
What happened?
He had anaphylactic shock. Why was that? I think
oh my god.
He needed 2 paramedics to save him, and he was saved, thankfully. He's okay.
Oh my god. Get well soon. That's awful news. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, that's well, it's not good to hear, but it's good to hear that they were able to save him. Get well soon. I'm sorry to hear that. Bob might get game time. I don't know. I don't know.
Who?
Oscar Bob.
Oscar Bob. Remember him?
I said this yesterday. Where is he getting game time?
That broken leg.
Bernardo's gonna take his minutes. I mean, Bernardo and Gundogan are gonna take the minutes that are available.
Can we just?
If Gundogan wants to play, he'll be fuming. He'll be fucking pissed.
I made a big point about this yesterday because Pep's like, I want a small squad. I don't like putting people in the stands. It's like, you know who's going to be in the stand? It'll be Oscar Bob. It won't be Gundogan.
Yeah.
It'll be Oscar Bob or an Echeverria in the stands again.
Not Echeverria. What's he?
No comments. No comments. Hopefully Gundogan leaves to Galatasaray, by the way. Pray to the gods, Galatasaray, come in here, take Gundogan to Turkey. By the way, Steve Black has an important question for you, Kelkster. No alcohol.
No, I work today, so I don't drink on days I work. This is water and Gatorade mixed, or
vodka,
nutrient, or electrolyte drink. Nope, I only drink on my days off.
By the way, if Inter buy Højlund for 50 million, then we should be able to sell all our players.
We should.
Gosh.
£50 million of Højlund. Inter in the mud. Inter in the mud.
They have no money. They're getting everyone for free. How are they going to spend 50 million?
We should be able to sell Bernardo Silva for 100 million if you see that. Maybe 200. We can break Neymar's records.
Hugo's the negotiator. Come on, Hugo. You better. I think maybe the sales will come in the second window.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think those 3 players are big. 3 players what do you need right now? Now that's the selling players. Now I think what we'll do now. Then we get another one in, then we'll a couple in, and players out. I think it'll be more going out. More coming in. It's gonna be clear out, I reckon.
I agree.
Yeah, be smashing the likes, by the way, as Luke says here, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Not just to me, of course, to me first and foremost, pay your taxes, but you also have special taxes to pay. So go subscribe to Luke and to connect as well. Their links are in the pinned comment. Patrick's link is not in there actually. Dasilt, can you put that in there as well? Because we've got a Patrick representative in here. Kelkster.
Unofficially part of that channel, not officially, but that's where I do.
Officially at this point,
mostly appear.
you're on there more than Patrick at this point.
I don't know. He's been doing a lot of solo streams.
Yeah, fair, yes.
He does those in the morning. He strategically does those because I'm 8 hours behind the UK. So he'll do them at like 10 in the morning UK time, and that's like 3 in the morning for me. I'm in bed. So.
Honestly, Alf and Patrick's work rate is on another level. It's like fucking full on level. When I was like triple season, by stat padding, it's like running around there doing.
I've not streamed today other than this stream, so I kind of feel like I ain't done enough today. You know what's bad, yeah? When I only do one stream, this is how addicted I am at this point. When I do only one stream, I go to bed and I'm like, bro, I didn't do enough today. And like, I actually think like, bro, I should have done more. Like, bro, and I'm addicted at this point. I think I need to see a psychologist or therapist or whoever helped with that. Anyhow, Manu thinks that Rodrigo is moving to the Premier League. He guarantees it even. I think Chelsea is more likely to sign him than Arsenal. I'm not gonna lie.
Not Chelsea. Fuck off. Stop buying everyone.
Maybe Bayern München can sign him.
I think he'd go to Munich before Chelsea because he wants to go to like a top team. Chelsea's not a top team.
Chelsea used to be a top team for 10 years.
Not anymore.
Now Madueke and Neto, man, right wing.
Also, Alfie, you don't need a therapist. As Patrick would say, you need to touch grass.
Yes, that will cure addictions, isn't it?
It does. Have you ever heard of grounding? Have you ever heard of that?
Of what?
Grounding?
You mean like go grounded to your room, go to bed?
No. Grounding is when your body like touches like not pavement but like grass or oil or sand or water, like elements of the earth. Like if you touch the earth, there's allegedly like ions that come through and you connect to the earth and it like heals you from a lot of things. It's called grounding. It's one of those like pseudosciences or whatever.
So funny story, I have a backyard and I touch grass every day because I play with my dog. So
make sure you're using bare feet and not shoes, because that way your bare feet, your skin can contact the earth and you'll get those positive ions from the earth.
I walk on bare feet a lot, but not in grass. I try to stay off grass when I'm in bare feet. Yeah, maybe I need to do that. Maybe that's why I'm addicted. Pep needs to oil up his players next season. Talking about oiling up the players and oil money.
Oiling up the players, hey!
What?
Now we're talking. This is a preview of the drunk stream.
No comments. No comments. But how much do you rate? Let's go back to the window. How much out of 10 do you guys rate this window from June 1st to June 10th? How much do you rate this window? I doubt we'll sign anyone else in this period. If we do, it will be a small signing, I reckon. From June 1st to June 10th, I would personally rate it a 9 out of 10. And the only reason I don't rate it a 10 out of 10 is because, I mean, nothing is perfect, so that's why I don't give a 10 out of 10. If you've ever gone to my game reactions and stuff, you remember when Haaland scored 5 against Luton? I gave him a 9.5 out of 10 because I said, well, it's not Messi at Champions League final level. I refuse to give a 10 out of 10. I just refuse to do that.
He's a negative guy, bro.
It's not negative. I just refuse to give a 10 out of 10. Because once you're at 10 out of 10, you can't improve, and you can always improve on something. It's a positive mindset. Keep yourself improving. But yes, how do you guys rate this transfer window? And maybe most importantly, who do you think is the most important signing of this window?
I think I'd give this also a 9. Not for the reason that not everything's perfect, but just because of how much we're messing around with the Shirky deal. Just give them the money at this point. You know, it's like 30 million they want. But genuinely, that's like 2 academy players, or even just James McAtee. You know, just pay up genuinely. But in terms of the players that the caliber of players we're signing, you know, the signing positions that we really need, you know, everyone wanted like that 8 kind of player, someone that could do the stuff that Ilkay Gundogan a few years ago could do. And we signed Tijani Reinders, the best midfielder in the Serie A this season for less than 50 million quid. You know, almost the same amount we paid for Calvin Phillips. We only paid a couple more mil. You know?
Pain.
Yeah. Ainauri. It's a really smart deal. 1 year left on his contract. You know, the moment we came sniffing, there was no way of signing a deal until he knew where we stood. And then we go and sign him for just over 30 million quid, a top left back. And Shirky, someone that was just balled, had the season of his life with Lyon and in France, balling out. And we're looking to spend less than 40 million quid on him by the looks of it. You know, great deals in terms of financially, and then in terms of the actual importance, I think they're all important in their own right. But if I had to, gosh, for me it's between Ainauri and Reinders. Not that Shirky's not important, but again, I think the point of Vardio earlier was huge, because when Vardio shifted to left back and then to centre back this season, just gone, he was class, and like in almost every game I felt, just we looked so much more solid at the back, and so getting an actual left back like Ainauri could be huge. And then Rangers, we all know how dead our midfield was at points this season with Kova, Gundo, and Bernardo. And, you know, one of the worst midfields I've seen during that December-November period. And I think Rangers is exactly the type of midfielder that we could need. And he'll add goal contributions to us as well. He's had about 20 this season. So I think if I edge it to anyone in terms of being the most important signing, I think I'd probably go Rangers.
Okay. Yeah, I should probably answer my own question, by the way. I think it's Aït-Nouri, because we desperately need full backs. We already have like Nico Gonzalez there to add a bit of stuff. Foden maybe will be coming back. Cherki. So I think midfield Rangers obviously improved it a ton, but I think Aït-Nouri is the most important. Kelkster, what do you think?
I actually agree with City Connect. I really believe that Rangers is up there as the most important one, because our midfield was a complete disaster last season. Like, it was, I think it's worse than a championship or an MLS midfield. It was so unbelievably atrocious. So adding a really quality midfielder was very important. I know Rodri's coming back, but like we've discussed, he's going to take some time to get going. And it'll take Rangers a little time to warm up to the Premier League as well, but he's fast, he's tall. I think he'll actually win some duels, and he'll progress the ball forward. That was the biggest problem for midfield. Yeah, exactly. So I think we've really needed that profile for 2 seasons now, because the shell of Gundogan was not providing what he did in the trouble season. And then to also comment about Aït-Nouri, I think the biggest part of that is just pushing Joško back into center back, because we saw how classy he is. And I think that center back pairing of Joško and Diaz is going to be very important. It's going to solidify the defense quite a bit. Because let's be frank, Akanji and Diaz is not a good partnership. I don't think they have the right chemistry, and I don't think they complement each other in the way that Diaz and Vardiel do. And it's very nice to have a left-footed left center back and then a right-footed right center back. So that'll just help. And then Joško can start doing more of the ball progression. And so Diaz, I just want Diaz to focus on defense, because that's what he's so good at.
Yeah.
We're asking him to do too much, and with Joško there, Joško could do more of that work. And if Joško needs to invert to the midfield, he can. I think he's got the tools for that. So I'm just very happy to finally get Joško as center back. So I rate that signing very highly. And then Turkey, wow, that guy's really exciting. I know everybody just saw yesterday's game, but I actually watched one of his Ligue 1 games this season. It was versus Lille. So I was actually paying more attention to Chevalier. I was doing a Chevalier scout, because that's when we started being linked with him. And I was like, I gotta watch Chevalier. And Chevalier saved a ridiculous amount of chances in the second half of that game. And the reason he was saving all these chances is Turkey and another player on the team, Almeida, were creating a ridiculous amount of chances. And the problem was that Lyon had a bunch of bozos up front. Lacazette, terrible. But Turkey created a ridiculous amount of chances. We desperately need that in our team. We lacked creativity all season because our midfield was complete crap. No creators whatsoever. The shell of Kevin De Bruyne wasn't creating very much. And then he kept playing further back where he couldn't even create. So just to get kind of that profile back into the team is going to help us tremendously. So I really like all 3 of these signings. And the only way to make it a 10 out of 10 is if you add a Livramento in this window. So I'll stick to the 9 out of 10 that everyone else has said.
Yeah, I completely agree. And by the way, I got a commentate from Twisted that I've kept up for a little while. It's actually responding to Steve, but I want to take one thing out of here, and that's Arsenal don't have a wage structure, so they may try to get Rodrigo. However, what we've seen with Man City, which is also important to address, once you get one player in and overpay him, all the other players are looking and they're like, I want that money. That's what happened with Man City. We brought Jack Grealish and Calvin Phillips in. They weren't worth the money we were giving them. And then all the other players wanted those wages too.
Apparently there's some news. Fabrizio has said that Turkey only wants to join Man City, and he's apparently going to push for the move because he wants to play in the Club World Cup.
Hold on. I'm not being funny, Carl. I'm not going to go you right. This literally is the league gunner thing again. Luring. Wants to move. It's like, it's just the same stuff over and over again.
Wants the move, FC.
Yeah.
I got into group chat. Thought I'd pass it on.
Luring. It's like, what are we doing?
Almost there, FC.
Again. Almost there. Also,
here we go soon, FC.
One. What adverts? So it's one for me now. What adverts? So
yeah.
No, but
you got to be entitled, then it. Big up to Zed as well.
Yeah.
Big up to B-Tech ADB. Yo, enjoy your 5-0, mate. Enjoy your 5-0.
But for real though, I'll say 9 as well. I think everything that I want from this win, a left back was definitely needed. The left back. Reinders, for me, is going to be one of the biggest signings I think out of them all, because what he offers on that pitch is what I'm doing for years. Going forward, get a box crasher, gets into the box, gets the goals. He can also defend, come back and defend. He's a box midfielder, someone that I've been crying out for ages. And it's exactly what we need in this team now. And obviously, as well, Shirky's a big player. Like Shirky, for me, is mad to say it, mate. He won for the future because he's very young still. He's 21. Like he's got years ahead of him. I think Shirky, with having Foden, Marmoush around him, will allow him to develop and get games every now and again. He won't be played so much, but he'll be played because he's obviously a very good player. I think Pep will overplay him. It makes sure he gets game time, but not forced into the team every game. So for me, I think so far what I've seen is great. I'll give it 9 out of 10 for this window. But as Cam said, remember people said this before, we got to make sure that players get out the door as well. This is a bad squad already. Obviously, I want a good squad as well. Obviously, some players I just want to be here as well. But the ones that last year who just felt massively to them, get new ones to replace them, make it a more competitive squad season. In terms of what rating, 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I think the exits will come next window. I think this weekend they just wanted to get bodies in for the Club World Cup, and I think there could be some shock exits in the next window.
Skeletor wanted Jerky, Kelkster.
What?
Skeletor wanted Jerky.
Skeletor? Okay. Well, of course he would.
Right.
Black's definitely in the chat.
Yeah.
They're talking about Bo.
I know with Chucky, it probably will be it'll be a starter, but I'm just being real. Knowing Pep and how we've seen with him before, he won't be playing every game. He might, if he's a starter, great. I don't care either way. But I think with Shirky, I'm just being quite reserved on him until I see him play for City. For France, unbelievable. I'm sure he's good for us, but I've got to see him play before I decide myself where I think he'll be. That's me anyway.
I actually agree with that. I think Pep will try really hard to get Foden going, so he'll prioritize Foden for the minutes.
Yeah, which is fair enough. I don't mind that, but like also make sure that every player gets a chance though. Everyone gets a chance. So if Foden, right, same as well, Kelks, he's coming back from mental health issues, that kind of stuff. He's coming back from that straight away, and he'll get there. He will, but we can't just be forcing him every game. Say, right, play every game. No,
that's what I'm afraid is going to happen, though, is that Pep will try to force him into it.
I hope not.
I have no idea why the club has even had Foden on the bench for the last 4 to 6 games of the season when he was barely playing. I don't understand why they didn't just send him to a beach to sort his mental health illnesses out. Because remember, they sent David Silva away to go be with his premature son. in the ICU. I'm like, why didn't Phil Foden get that grace when he's dealing with a very complicated health issue? I don't know why he's the one being forced to like push his body that's already going through a bunch of tumultuous stuff that could affect him for the rest of his life. Like, we don't know if he can actually be a professional athlete because of this illness that he has. Others have, but we don't know if he can yet. And I don't know why we're pushing him so hard right away. Why not let him heal his body first? Like, let him completely try to see if he can heal his body to like, as a normal, as an outside athlete, like in his downtime situation, and then see if he can be a professional.
Playing devil's advocate here, and I don't know, but I'm just playing devil's advocate. Maybe this is the type of disease where he needs to keep moving to stay healthy, because some muscle diseases actually require you to keep moving. Otherwise, you have muscle deterioration. I don't know what the specifics are of the disease. Nobody really does. It's like very mysterious, up in the air. But just playing devil's advocate, I hope that the club knows better than us what the disease is, what you need to come back from it, and is treating Foden accordingly. With that said, on to the last subject of this stream here, because I actually have to go soon. I wasn't planning to end stream so early, but unfortunately I have to go soon. Man City is going to be going into transfer window again in July to August, normal transfer window. And I think that's when we're going to see a lot of players leave. What are the 5 priorities to leave for Man City? I think it's Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Grealish, Stones, and Akanji. I actually think that Kovacic is not too bad to keep if you have him as a bench player. And my reason is, we're going to have a very short midfield after all the uncles leave. And unless we want to go sign another midfielder, which I don't think we should do in this window, I think it's maybe best to just keep Kovacic one more year, then sell him and get that Kovacic replacement, I suppose, for on the bench. So that is my idea for the window.
Yeah, I agree in terms of the 5. I definitely think, and I desperately don't want to see any of them go on loan either. Just get the money for them. Like, I heard the rumor that Jack Grealish could go on loan. Nah, just get him gone. You can easily get 30 million for Grealish.
Yeah, but the problem is, Connect, if you get 30 million for Grealish, that's a loss. Because of the amortization.
Either way, we're not getting money back from him. We're not.
No, but
we're not.
But because of PSR, if we sell him, it's a loss under PSR. That's the problem.
Unless we get a high enough fee, which would be difficult. It has to be 40 million because he has 2 years left.
I think it has to be 35 million or something like that. I'm not sure.
That's going to be tough to get with his wages.
Yeah, it's
300k a week. Ugh.
That's the problem with Grealish, yeah.
He's going to be loaned.
And definitely, it is definitely time for Bernardo too. Like we've obviously said, like he's past it now. He's run all he can for the club, And if this season was a real eye opener for Bernardo, I think that Rodri injury really just showed the issues, especially in that midfield. It just blew it all open. And so, in a sense, in a weird way, we probably needed it. Because it just exposed so many of the issues. Like Bernardo this season, I don't know if it's still accurate, but at some point he was the slowest. He was the recorded slowest player in the Premier League, slower than Casemiro at Man United, and and it's hard watching him play because of how slow he can be. In no disrespect to Casemiro, like for me, those 2 are definitely top priority. Bernardo and Grealish, because I think you can still get money for them, and decent money too. And then on the other 3, get what you can. Genuinely. Akanji you can probably get a good amount, but on Gundo and Walker, you're not going to get more than 10 million combined for those 2.
Yo, Steve, stinker and hook the
down. Relax, man, relax.
Luke, not me.
Bro, you can't blame me, bro.
You can't even see his comments, so I don't know what he's nothing off about.
Oh, you have to go on my YouTube. You have to go on YouTube because I can't share it. Actually, you know what? I can share it with you guys. I'm just lazy. 1 second. Let me share the comments with you guys.
Broad, come on, man. What is this?
It's me being lazy. Get used to it. I do this a lot. There you go. Now you should be able to see the comments.
Yes.
Oh,
gosh.
there it is.
Yeah. So
3-hour waffle.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
Guy's always
beautiful.
Steve Black in the comments is always a riot.
Beautiful stuff from Steve. Anyhow, because I have to go soon, let's round up there. I'm gonna ask a final question to each of you. Who do you make captain next season?
Diaz.
Okay.
I think Rodri should be captain, but I think that's too much of a burden to put on him after when he's coming back from an ACL injury.
I agree
Do it
with
next
that.
season.
I agree with that. The second one.
Stuck between two. Rodri and Haaland. Haaland's been brilliant recently in terms of leadership.
Haaland.
I
Come
think
on, let's say
Haaland.
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 There you go.
Good
There
Haaland,
you
bro.
go. Luke is a good boy. See, he listens very well.
What the fuck? Weird.
Everyone has like a certain asterisk about why we shouldn't, but I like the Haaland shout. 10-year contract. I like it.
Yeah, you got your captain sorted for a while then. Yeah.
I don't know the reason why Haaland wouldn't be a good captain, to be honest. He's got the leadership on the pitch. He's got the 10-year contract. We're building the team around him.
Sometimes he has some really poor body language. Like when he's not getting the ball, he has an attitude issue, and his body language is very very
but
bad.
if you make him captain now, instead of having that bored attitude because he never gets the ball, he can instruct players. Can you get me the ball, please? So I think that actually solves that problem. Maybe I'm just coping. Maybe I'm coping.
Well, the problem last season was that we had a midfield that could not get in the ball, but that should be a lot different this year.
Yeah. Connect. Who do you make captain?
For a while, I would have said Diaz, and apart from it, for me, I'm torn between Diaz and Haaland. For a while, I would have said Diaz, but for me, that Southampton game and his quotes after that really shook me. You know, it was very bratty.
See, everyone has a reason why to not be a captain. And
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
I don't think he'd be a bad choice, and you definitely wouldn't see me riot if he did become captain. Because for a while it was of my opinion. I'm probably leaning a bit more towards Haaland because of that, but I'd be happy with either of them. But I'll probably just slightly edge it to Haaland. But Diaz, I think, is a solid option too.
So Haaland wins the popular vote. You know, that's how democracies work. 4 people decide, and 10 people decide that a million people decide. Let's not get
Unless
too much
Pep gives it to Kyle Walker again.
Oh,
No.
God. Let's not get into
That's
conspiracy
my biggest
theories
theory.
here. In fact, maybe I can kick Kelkster here for that suggestion. Anyhow,
It's called sarcasm.
no, it's called insurrection. Anyhow,
Wow,
jokes
wow,
aside, I do have to go. So unfortunately, ending this a bit earlier than I had hoped. Thank you for coming on, Kelkster, and of course Luke and Connect as well. Thank you for coming on. We're gonna redirect this stream to Liam, because he's the only one doing a live stream. So Alfred in chat, and we'll see you guys on the next one.